Good afternoon, folks. It's Saturday, November 2nd, just a couple of days before Election Day. And this is a special podcast that we're doing. It's going to be an election special. That's what's happening for today because there is so much skullduggery and twat waffleness going on in the world right now concerning the liberal media. So we're going to see if maybe we can't dispel some of that stuff. Now, so far it's myself and Rennie's here, and I think Nomad's going to hop in here as soon as he can. So we should have an interesting group of folks to be discussing this with. Okay, my family and I went and voted yesterday, early voting here where I'm at, and it was one time we could all get everybody together and go vote as a family. So that's what we did. Everybody is, with the exception of one weirdo, one daughter's weirdo ex-husband. We are all Trump supporters and staunch conservatives and so forth. So the voting process here in the free state of Florida was exceptionally easy. We were all in and out within 10 minutes at the most. Check in, confirming signature on our ID with a driver's license. We were given a paper ballot to go into the little voting booth thing, made our marks and so forth. Went to the machine where it's counted. The attendant there explained how we could physically see that our document had entered into the machine and was correctly counted. There's a number register as it goes through the process. We could see exactly what happened. There was no possibility of silliness at that point, so we were all good there. And what happened next was everybody finished up or out the door. Everybody was polite, calm, relaxed, no issues whatsoever. So I don't know why Pennsylvania is having so many problems with their with their fucking voting system. All right, since everybody's showing T-shirts, I'll do mine too. It's a Harley Davidson T-shirt, but it's from Bogota, Colombia. They do have a Harley dealer there.
Okay.
No, I also have a Harley. I also have a Harley hat from Kandahar, but I'm not wearing that today. But anyway,
no. Hey, fellas.
What's going on, Nomad? How are you, buddy?
How much time have you got?
Well, we have all the time in the world.
So. All right then. Yeah, I am. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, good to see you. Apologies for the other night. I had higher command, and it proved the theory: the higher you go, the thinner the oxygen. All right.
Most definitely, no doubt about that.
I stepped out, check canopy, and oh fuck.
There you have it. All right, we are doing an election special today.
I see Rennie's he's getting very distinguished looking. He's starting to look like the Sheriff of Nottingham or something. What the fuck?
Thank you.
I like it.
Well,
thank you.
Yeah, he is pretty naughty, so yeah, that does kind of make sense.
I said my brain's not wired correctly.
Well, I'm just saying. Well, you're in great company, buddy. Look at the three of us, right?
Yeah, you missed the conversation about Peyronie's disease earlier, so you know.
Okay.
It's probably just as well.
Probably.
All right. Anyway, we are doing an election special because there's so much skullduggery and twat waffleness going on with the liberal media right now. So we're going to see if we can't maybe dispel some of those, some of the nonsense that's happening. Rennie, why don't you start us off, brother?
All right. So I guess in keeping with the gist of the show, I'm going to refer to myself today as the clusterfuck fixer, an expert problem solver. One fucks any given situation, and I do it with a calm, level head and near genius because I don't overreact to ridiculous nonsense. And just for our viewers watching, I'm identifying as a Nazi garbage heap today. Kamala Harris called us Nazis from the Madison Square Garden, and Sleepy Joe referred to us as a garbage heap. So I got to go with the identification.
There you have it. Well, it's always a good thing, I guess.
Yep.
I don't know what happened. No, man. Okay. Well, do you want to start? Rennie, do you have some stuff lined up that you want to discuss in particular, or are we just
so I'll tell you what really frosted my ass. Somebody leaked the front page of the New York Post. that is going out on Wednesday morning that says Kamala Harris won because she took Pennsylvania by 52% of the vote. Now, going back to leakages, I know us men don't wear tampons and pads and everything else, but somebody leaked the Israeli battle plan, and it came out who it was. It was somebody in the Defense Department to the press and concerning Iran. They leaked it to Iran, and so and they admitted it was a leak. And so now this was leaked to the newspapers, and I'd just like to know for the record is how they know she's going to capture 52% of Pennsylvania and be declared the winner on Wednesday morning.
Yeah.
And if these numbers hold true, like that's in this photograph, somebody has a lot of explaining to do. There's going to be some bad shit that's going to happen.
Without a doubt. And that's something that make note of those numbers too, and see if during election day you get the same kind of reports, because they're saying that they were just testing the system or whatever, and somebody just fed the bullshit numbers in there to test the system. But see if it comes up the same thing, then you know what happened.
Yeah.
Nomad, what do you think, buddy?
I think it's a replay of the same thing. I think from the last time, I think people are battle weary, combat weary of just having this stuff being regurgitated every 2 years, then every 4 years, and it's the same old playbook. I personally think the Democrats have done something correctly, which is identified the basically nonchalance of the voting public. The public are so tired of this crap that anything is put out there. If they said right now that Biden has come out of the closet and said he's something, people still vote for it because people don't care. People are proportional to their pocket, how much gas is going to be in their tank, how much it will cost them to do so. So I think this stuff coming out is aimed at a specific demographic, and it's more of the academia end of it. The ordinary Joe Blow in the street doesn't care less. He's going to vote on the day. The real voters vote on the day. They hold true to the tradition of what's involved with voting. Those that have circumstances where they can't work or they have issues coming up. I'm not disparaging anybody who votes early. However, traditionally, what's voted early has always been Democrat. This time around, though, figures seem to say that Republicans have voted early en masse in a large number as well. So that may show, one, a change in the sort of the tide of things. And then secondly, people are also concerned about a personal safety point of view on election time, on election day. And that's a huge factor. I know from a law enforcement point of view, each state in particular, and especially the swing states, they have additional security because of the perception of elevated threats. And the public, if the Democrats can successfully tie in three things on election day, they've won. One, the fact that there'll be an active shooter situation, something will happen during election day. Then it means one, guns are all bad and all people who like guns are bad and garbage. Two, it shows that you're better off from now on, like you work remotely, voting remotely. So you don't have to go through the same process as everybody else. So they'll try and steer people towards a habit of the second election now in living memory, where people voted early and voted away from the polling stations and without scrutiny. And three, it also distracts people away from, just as you just discussed on the last point, about this IT glitch or this test or this whatever it is. That's BS. Anybody who knows anything about basic elections on a local municipal level, things are counted. You identify what comes in, whether you're going to buy a pack of cigarettes, a 6-pack of beer, or something. You need some form of freaking ID. So why should something as valuable, as sacred as the vote be exempt from all of those things? So that's what they're aiming at, because the majority of people that they're targeting right now are the same young demographic that have supported the anti-Israel campaigns and the whole Hamas, pro-Palestinian statehood BS. That's what they're aiming for, because people vote emotionally coming up to 24 hours before an election. People who vote on the day of election vote patriotically as per their conscience, the Constitution.
That's an interesting thought. Before you came in earlier, we talked about that. My family all went to vote early yesterday here because it was the time we could all get together and go at the same time we voted as a family.
Family
Everybody
history.
there everybody there was polite. It was efficient. Well, it's in Florida, so it went like clockwork. And I was seriously impressed. Of course, we are all Trump supporters, and conservatives at heart. So yeah, I kind of get that, and everything is changing. I think our entire world is about to take a major paradigm shift here.
Yeah.
Seems to be what's setting up, and all the old ways don't work anymore. The old politics, the old bullshit, the old nonsense. Brenny, you had mentioned earlier about leaking the battle plans for Israel. Why is she? I'm not going to use the pejorative that's rattling around in my brain ever since I heard that, because it would be an immediate ban and I'd probably be locked up someplace. But why is she not in a deep, dark hole somewhere in Guantanamo with a set of headphones on and Baby Shark blasting into her brain on an endless loop? Why the
Because
hell? Why? Because they put her in a different place where she doesn't have as much access to sensitive information.
a couple of years
What
ago,
the actual fuck?
about 2 hours up the street from me, some kid who was assigned to a nuclear-powered submarine took a picture of the inside the submarine to show his mother where he worked.
I remember that.
He went to jail for what, 3 years, 4 years?
Something like that.
This girl got a security clearance. How in the world did she get it? That's the number one question. Second question is, why she, because when you sign the NDA, and I know we've all signed them, it says right on it, you can just disappear, never be found again if you violate any of it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Why she still got a job? I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't really, I haven't got a good answer for you on that one. But
Go back to
Well,
sorry. Go ahead, sir.
no,
Go
no,
back
go
to
ahead,
the
Nomad.
last show we had. The last show we had, we talked about just this: how certain people are groomed, how people are sourced, fishing from the same pool of academia. But you don't think they think in a certain type of philosophy. So the majority, Edward Snowden, we said it last week.
Mhm.
Every other military contract. When you have a contract, a contracted service as a vendor to U.S. government, you must go through just a minimum of processes. All you need to do is have an entity registered if you're a company, a tax identification number. There's no one asking whether you're a citizen or not, believe it or not. And then you just basically have to have some sort of account, and you can apply for a cage number, and away you go. And once you're into one side of a federal contract, you can go from education to IRS to defense. Because once you're inside the tent, you can piss anywhere, basically.
go anywhere,
Save security. That SF-86 is a generic form. It's not specific enough.
Mhm.
You know, recently, when you're going through it, I've gone through it recently again. So the thing is that you have the people who view these things are the same people who recruit and let these things out. That's no damn accident, right?
No.
They had no other way to stop Bibi Netanyahu from doing what he wanted to do. So they scuttled his plan and tried to change the game plan on the field, primarily by letting the other side know, listen, this is what may happen. It also shows the same administration that gave billions to Iran. And next thing, 4 months later, we've got October 7. Next thing we've got, there is a direct link, and these idiots here are allowing us to connect the pieces, but the public are so tired of trying to figure stuff out, they become intellectually lazy. They don't want to figure it out anymore. You must give them the answer. So even when something like this happens, the public don't care because does it affect their pocket? No. But it's this election, after this election, the amount of stuff that's going to come out, regardless of the result, is going to change this country forever and our view of government. We cannot trust anything that's federal right now. And I hate it. And I took an oath to this country. And I'm telling you, it's difficult to believe in what you see. It is not. It's a magician show in freaking Vegas right now.
I actually took an oath to the Constitution.
Mhm.
That's it, and that's the difference. That's not government. That's to the
sadly,
people.
sadly, the Constitution isn't really worth the paper it's written on today. The Democrats have watered down government. I mean, right in the Constitution, it says you can't overthrow the government, but you can overthrow the tyrants running the government.
Correct.
Go ahead and give it a shot and see what happens. You're not going to be very successful.
No, you're not.
Well, no.
I'd predict you're not going to be. But that's what we have now. A bunch of times when it comes. Just before we come on, I got a thing. TGYF, popular restaurant chain. I've eaten here several times. Food has always been audacious. They filed for bankruptcy. They're going out of business. So don't tell me the economy's not tanking, because it is. And it's about to pick up speed.
Wendy's is closing 140 stores nationwide.
Yeah. Everybody's shutting down. Grocery prices are still rising.
Yeah.
I do want to say one thing about early voting, though. Early voting, for some people, it works. I was telling Chet before he came on, I'm a constitutionalist, just much like Antonin Scalia was. I vote on election day. That being said, early voting presents a lot of opportunities for cheating. Like, there've been several articles put out there. Postal worker in Florida got arrested for dumping ballots in a swamp.
Correct. Correct.
Ballot drop-off boxes have been lit on fire. Ballots destroyed. How do you account for those ballots now? You know, I mean, if just a pile of burnt heap, how do you know how many ballots were in it? Who voted? Who, you know? How do you rectify this whole mess?
You can't.
You don't. Just a little bit of follow up on that particular thing. They've determined those were explosive devices put in there. It's not somebody just didn't go toss a match in the.
Yeah, it's an ID, improvising sentry device. Yeah.
Right.
So there's a little bit more to that system than, and they were also, apparently these particular boxes had free Palestine stickers on them or free Gaza stickers and all that kind of crap. So whether that has anything to do with it or not, I really don't know. Which leads me to the next point. Has everybody seen the incident that occurred last night where somebody threw a cell phone at President Trump as he was walking?
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think of that? What's your opinions on that?
No, man,
Renee, go ahead.
first, man.
Okay, Nomad first. Yeah.
I think if you control a phone, you control something else. Okay, that's the first thing that struck me. Second thing is, you can see here behind me, I've got IWI, right? God bless Israel. Cell phones and miniaturized devices have been successfully used in recent times. So,
We really need to be reminded.
Yeah, it just changes the whole thing. AT&T reaching out, right? But it's a serious thing. It's a serious thing.
Yeah.
It's the equivalent. It's the equivalent of when they threw shoes at George Bush in Iraq. Remember that?
Took the words right out of my mouth. That was coming next.
Yeah. So we're on the same page again. I just think it's a security breach from that point of view coming up on any protective detail. Anything that has an elevation or your intel is bringing you stuff in all the time. Your guys are in and out doing stuff. Your advanced guys doing stuff. Anything that causes an issue and you restrict the higher the risk, the higher the restriction. So you should not have certain things, but it's a balance between having a Facebook moment, because we've now got a different culture that votes as well. People call 911 less. They open up their Facebook Live when they see an accident. They don't call 911 dispatch. So the same goes with voting. So I think it's a serious issue that could have been an awful lot worse in the outcome. And to stop it, hard to do it, but it raises the point of the protective bubble isn't a freaking illusion, is what it is. It's an illusion.
Yeah.
It's an illusion when it comes to Donald Trump.
I agree.
Seems like that.
Would it happen with Kamala Harris? That's the question that you got to ask.
Yeah.
No, nobody's doing them. And that we're back to this whole liberal fuckery.
You don't see anything happening on her campaign events, do you?
Exactly.
Because all Trump's campaigns doing some shit. That's why.
Yeah.
Mhm,
That's why.
mhm.
So
Yeah, and that's how it's just got to
they,
stop.
it could have. Luckily, it was only a cell phone, but somebody still needs to be held accountable for that because that should have never been allowed to happen. If those agents on that detail were doing their jobs, I know when I was with the State Department, anybody important came, we had specific tasks, and we didn't
Mhm.
deviate from those tasks at all.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
if I was on
Yeah.
the perimeter, my job wasn't to turn around and see who was there and who wasn't and watch what was going on. My job was to turn around and face the crowd, watch
I remember,
hands, watch the
yeah,
face, watch the eyes.
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
the body language side of it, the non-verbal stuff. I remember being on details where we had GSM blockers, where we had to, for a number of reasons. One, from a comms point of view, so we had our own encrypted comms, we had our own crypto, but also it was also stopping cell phone activated devices. So I remember I was involved in something where the Pakistani guy had come to the US, Musharraf, a
Mhm.
former general in the Pakistani army, pro-Western, Islamic State, and nuclear power on the doorstep of China and Russia. And his vehicle, even when it came over, had RFID and GSM
Mhm.
blockers that would go 50 feet out each side like a bubble. No cell phone worked when he drove. Why the hell can't we have that for the President of the United States? Why is anything even able to get in contact with him?
Yeah.
We've said it before. We're going off track a bit, but the other part of
Sorry.
the security detail is the protectee. He has
Mhm.
to be part of the plan. Sometimes you got to tell him something that's not exactly accurate, not to get him to behave in a certain way,
Yes.
but he's part of it because he's the problem to a degree. He's a charismatic guy. He wants to meet people, but however,
Right.
you can meet people and greet. Indira Gandhi was blown up by somebody giving her a bunch of flowers and bowing her head, and she initiated a suicide vest, right? Anwar
Right.
Sadat was killed by one of the honor guard with an AK-40. Actually, it was an FN FAL. It was an old SLR 308, and
Mhm.
shot him in the crowd. The assassination attempts. If you I'm writing something at the moment for another entity where I'm looking at the culture of assassination attempts from the Middle East, and it's a different philosophy to the West.
Mhm.
The West, they come
Mhm.
up and shoot you. Like we had a kid here shoot somebody in Orlando. In 20 minutes, he shot 2 people and injured 6. But
Right.
in the Middle East and other cultures where there's a different cultural and it's almost like a caste system, the
Mhm.
assassination attempts have to take a different format. And so you're finding people coming from certain parts of the world are not schooled in the Western ways. So they do things very analog, very simple, which is difficult for us to
Mhm.
do. We are so overburdened with technology, like most modern officers now can't read a freaking map. They must pull out something or open up
Mhm.
a fucking laptop and try and ping the board and find out where the fuck they are. Whereas if you can take a bearing off of something and a back bearing, you know where the hell you are. You can do
Yeah.
something.
Right.
So the skill set of these agents is now proportional to where we recruit from. We're coming from the millennials. We're coming
Right.
from who are not. They're not even experienced. Some of these people aren't even born when 9/11 happened, but yet we trust them to protect the
Mhm.
president of the United States. I'm just
Mhm.
saying.
That's a great analysis about the tech issue, especially. Well, Columbia, for example. Okay, let's take here in the U.S. Let's say downtown L.A., whatever, wherever. Got a bunch of baby gangsters out trying to make their chops. They'll do a drive-by on some guy, fire off a bunch of rounds, hit some innocent people, and go on their business. Columbia, for example, keeping things simple, as a KISS principle. If somebody's going to take you out, he's going to walk up on your front steps while you're sitting outside having a beer or whatever, and put 6 rounds into your head, and then he's going to walk away, and that's all there is to it. So maybe that's, I don't know if movies or TV or just a general attitude has something to do with those two opposite ends of the spectrum. And the Middle East will be a lot of the same way too. It seems like.
Yeah. Yeah.
Huh.
People don't carry cash, they carry a card. People order online, people shop online. They go to their Walmart, they order stuff at home, they pick it up in Walmart, or they get it damn well delivered. So people have less human interaction, less contact. The old human
Right.
intelligence end of it has changed now. And one thing that I'm involved with the other flag that I'm associated with, that basically right now is bringing me over to do some things on that, because we are, the three of us are so old fashioned. We've come back into fashion because we've
Yeah.
learned in a point of where that's it. If my clothes came
Yeah.
back, cool, man, right? But
Mhm.
I'm just saying, old school now shows up technology. When you have reliance upon a 5-inch screen, everything you have is in this, even for protective detail. But we're going off track. But elections. This election is not just for America, it's for the rest of the world too. And people need to realize
Mhm.
that. We're voting for us as Americans, but when America sneezes, the world gets a cold. And that's how it is. And that's how it needs to be. They need to understand when we're not well, you're not going to be safe either. So we need to link that. Netanyahu has always had that relationship with the US. Since Biden came in, with Harris,
It's
right?
gone.
It's Obama. No. The 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 point that I think from Middle East relations, and I just talked to somebody in Israel last night. He said to me, "Do you know when," he says, "our problems began?" And I said, "No." He said, "Our problems began when your president, Donald Trump, moved your embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. That shook your Democrats to the core because now they cannot have a two-state solution. Because when you're in Jerusalem, you may have
It's
different
interesting.
lines, but you have a U.S. embassy, and that's where the intel has gone from. I'm getting goosebumps right now. I'm telling you. But I said, Christ, I never thought of that. He said that's when it began. That we've identified. That's when it began.
Unless you've been there, and I know we both have. Unless you've
Yeah.
been there, nobody knows what we're talking about. But you're
No.
right,
No.
because
That's interesting. Huh.
because the Jews have one part and the Muslims have another part, so there can never really be a two-state solution. I never thought of that till you mentioned it, but I was always under the impression, because I was good friends with David Levy. He used to be Sharon's
Yes.
right-hand man.
Yeah,
I was
Sharon, yeah.
always under the impression, I get it from David, that the reason there could never be a two-state solution, the Syrians wanted the Golan back, but in order to give the Golan back, that would have jeopardized Israel's existence itself, because they actually wanted the Sea of Galilee.
Correct.
Because
Correct.
the composition of the Sea of Galilee, for our viewing audience that may not realize it, the bottom third is salt water, the 2/3 of fresh water, and that's how Israel exists. Now,
Yeah.
the Arabs wanted a Sea of Galilee so they could start sucking off the fresh water, hoping the salt water would come to the top, and
Correct.
checkmate, game over.
Yeah. 20 years ago, they were saying in military colleges in Israel that the next war in the Middle East will be over water. So the Israelis said, if we're going to be that vulnerable, let's deny them the ground. So they accelerated their desalination plants technology. Now this desert where and it's biblical too.
Yeah.
It's biblical too in every sense, but not just Christian, but Judeo-Christian. When you turn the desert green, that's a prophecy fulfilled, and they've done that.
Yeah.
There's parts of Israel that are green now that hasn't seen water in 2,000 years. But they've done it. They've done it. They've done it. So the world's leading proponents of ecosystem. The Israelis are so eco-friendly, and none of this nonsense goes on, with the ozone and all the other beer. Incidentally, the ozone layer no one talks about anymore because it's been proven to be bullshit.
Right.
But the Israelis have threatened the every type of passive strangulation, what I call this. This is what I call this. I call this a positional asphyxiation of Israel, because it's equivalent to someone being on the ground, being under, and they can't breathe. Not this George Floyd nonsense. It's from a nationhood point of view. If you deny access to land, to water, water is life. So without water, no crops, no production, no people will stay there. Your people, while they're connected to you and your concept, they would have to move. Again, another exodus to begin if you take that water. So Rennie's 100% correct. But we're off track. The election here, they just this morning elected the first black, first colored leader female leader of the British Conservative Party.
I saw that.
She's very pro-Israel, and she's very
Okay,
pragmatic.
good.
So it's going to change this election afterwards. Things are going to change because once America changes its tune, other countries are going to be brave enough to step up and say, if they can do it,
Right.
we're going to do it, because we're all interconnected.
Right. Exactly.
So,
Okay, that's all right. Let's talk about media bias and maybe Liz Cheney and being called out for the war hawk that she is, and the liberal media losing its freaking mind about it, and completely manipulating everything that this guy said. I'm speechless. I don't really even know what to. I mean,
So
how?
the Arizona Attorney General is investigating Donald Trump for criminal threatening, and they expect they may bring charges. Explain to me how the fuck that happens. I mean, isn't there a First Amendment? I mean, he didn't actually threaten her. He just said what she deserved for her conduct.
Yeah, exactly. It was a metaphor. He was using the example of all these powerful elites that are more than willing to send our children out to fight these wars, but and for no consequence to themselves. And that's what he was trying to illustrate there. You know, let these fucking presidents and Congress people and all that kind of shit get your asses out there on the front line, the mud and the blood and the guts and the barrels and the bullets and all the rest of the shit that goes along. And you experience a little bit of that. Was what he was the example he was trying to illustrate. And of course,
correct.
they left off the back half of that concept, or that
Yeah.
they completely out of context. He wasn't talking about putting her in front of a firing squad. What the fuck is
No.
wrong with you people?
No.
Jesus Christ.
Do you remember what Schumer said about Trump? Schumer called for
Yeah.
Trump to be assassinated.
Yeah, yeah.
That's commonly forgotten about. So again,
Yeah.
picking the meat from the bones. Everybody, to be fair to both sides of the aisle, we both pick our own pieces to suit our agenda. That's a given. However,
Mhm.
inflammatory language is not exclusive to one party. It's been on both sides for a very long time. And when you don't have term limits, you have a problem. Without term limits, you have people who are career politicians who become insulated and become another quasi-monarchy. We replace one with King George, but we put it back in place with our ruling classes through politics. So no other country has this type of dynamic. Even the countries that are, democracies in themselves, but not republic like ours. That's it. You will have a progressive or a Democrat type of point of view in other parts of the world, but they don't go the same way that we seem to do it over here. And the majority of politicians here serve themselves first and the people somewhere else in the middle. So it's not really that's it. And who wore a uniform, anybody who goes out, anybody involved with the infrastructure of a small town, your trash collector, your garbage man, your street sweepers, your crossing guards, the people who make the magic happen every day, that go about their business for minimum wage, with minimum attention, and they want to have a peaceful, ordinary life. They're the people that both sides should concentrate on, because they're the people who put these people in power. These guys work for us, but they've forgotten who they work for. Yeah. When you have Nancy Pelosi selling her shares in Visa 24 hours before the thing gets hit with an investigation, when you have countless things going on both sides of the aisle, not just Democrat now. Yeah. It's down to the point of where we have allowed this to happen as a citizen.
Exactly.
We allowed this to progress. We're at fault for letting them in so long. And it's time to change it. Trump, I have my own feeling about this election. I don't think it's going to be the way people assume it's going to be. There's going to be something catastrophic. I hope to God it doesn't. Something that we have not envisaged is going to happen for the first time since this republic was founded. Something is going to happen where another shadow part of the electorate is going to come out. People who've never voted are going to vote now. And that will decide. And those people no one can identify properly. pollsters are liars and bookies. That's all they are. But
So-
going on, we don't know.
So they're saying that deep blue counties in Georgia, voting is down 55%. I heard that this morning.
Yeah.
Now, the Democrats are also saying the election misinformation that they're hearing that's going to be put out once Kamala's declared the winner is the election was stolen due to voter fraud. Non-citizens were allowed to vote in large numbers. Voters were added, subtracted due to hacking of machines or destruction of ballots. Changing of vote totals to prove cheating occurred. Partisan election officials skewed vote tallies. And the last one is more votes than registered voters. You know what? All true, all happened in 2020, but they're trying to sell this as a bunch of lies and a bunch of disinformation and that this is not happening. You know, and people, they want people to buy into this nonsense. And that's exactly what it is. It's nonsense. I'm going to throw this on the garbage heap that Biden referred to us as the other day.
I agree. Trump said something last night, wherever he was speaking in last night. I don't know where he was. He was somewhere. He called somebody out of the crowd, somebody who was about to release this thing on Act Blue, this Blue PAC action committee, where these overseas votes and funding was coming in for Act Blue from what they call foreign actors and non-US interests getting into election interference. And he said, if you don't have it out before election day, it's a waste of time. And he called a guy out in the crowd who works on his team and said, you better have this crap out before election day or it's to be no good to it. That's the problem. A lack of a sense of urgency. Republicans have allowed Democrats the latitude and the time to constantly pick and snipe and snipe and snipe. We're not very good as a party in becoming more military-like in how we are, in how we our precision and attention is thing. We should target each seat on every level should be contested vigorously. There's enough money in the country to do it. I'm not saying physically target them. I'm saying from an election point of view. Because you can discredit 90% of what's been put up on the other side. They've come from nowhere. They have nothing. They've never done anything, and they are part of the Starbucks brigade. We have Space Force, and they have Starbucks. Okay, and that's where I'm at. And I got myself in trouble with my boss over that. I said, I see you drinking that shit again. You're going to be wearing it. He said, what? I said, are you a Democrat? He said, you know I'm not. I said, I don't know what you are anymore. You should be ashamed. And he started hitting me. And I said, why are you supporting a company that's is against the Constitution, is doing everything else? If I see you eating fucking Ben & Jerry's, if I see you having a Chase bank account, I said, take the power away from them in the pocket. Deny them on every opportunity. Because that's what Democrats do. They list out a bunch of products or services or people. They'd say disengage is the word from them. They've tried it and they've been successful at it. And once you have control of the schools, you get control of the minds, you know. So the other way to hit them is in the pocket. I will at some stage. I'm going to make an announcement right now. You ready for this? Drum roll.
Ready for this?
At some stage in the next 2 to 5 years, I'm going to run for office, for a local office.
Really?
And literally. And I'm going to a human hemorrhoid in whatever system I'm in. I'm going to be the guy who laughs at funerals, who finds shooting a Taliban in the head hilarious, who will basically go in and eat a Big Mac in a vegetarian-only zone. I will fart in church. I will snort in the Chabad, in the synagogue. I will do something that I'm not supposed to do. But the one thing I will do is be true to who put me in there. Yeah. So I'm not looking for anything off anybody, but just the opportunity. But I'm going to do it. Because I'm so sick of, and I'm going to do it. And what's going to happen, I'm going to create my own little nemesis. So I'm going to use me against me. and I'm expecting to get shot at in every way from a lot of
Okay.
creatures. But I don't mind. But I'm going to do it. I decided actually last week, you know what? You're full of shit. About time you did something. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it.
Okay. That's the really great point. I had a conversation last weekend with the RNC boss for this area here. And one of the things he was talking about was like you just said, we got to start at the bottom and downvote. Start with your school boards, your city councils,
Yeah.
Your dog catchers, and if it's a partisan election of some kind, just release the Republican wave, pretty much, or the conservative wave, and start running them out of all these offices. Because, like you said, the schools are where it starts. And he said that's how we're gonna, start at the bottom and work your way to the top, as far as promoting. The
I have a name for my party. It's called PAP, Political Antibiotic Party. So
okay.
I'm joking. I'm not serious. I'm not serious. All right. But I'm going to be antibiotic, right? To some of these things, because most of these guys have the clap or have some sort of stuff, which either way, it'll be a rash decision. Shut up, Renee. But what I'm saying is, I'm going to do something because I'm tired of trusting people to do what I need to do for me. So I'm going to take ownership of it myself and do it myself.
Oh, so let me make a point here. So in 2009, I ran for a selectman seat.
Good stuff.
And I got elected.
Good job.
To a 3-year term. We had a Democrat congresswoman by the name of Carol Shea Porter, and her and I started locking horns. The end result was, through my term, I survived one FBI investigation and 2 attorney general investigations. They tried to get me indicted for stuff. Made stuff up. It was a hell of a ride.
I'm sure. Because
I didn't play their game.
Right.
They came after me with a vengeance. So I admire you for taking on the task.
I'm going to.
Have your big boy panties on, because you're going to need them.
I'm not wearing anything. No, I'm already gone commando, buddy. So it's going to stay in this. Yeah. I got saran wrap, so I can reuse it for my sandwiches later on.
And you know how I get cleared? So one of the guys that made an accusation against me was having an affair, and the girlfriend found out about it. And the girlfriend actually delivered 5 packets to each selectman of emails from him to her. That was one of the things I was accused of, is blackmailing this guy. And what ended up happening was the first document, and there were 100 pages. The first document in the pile of emails was a naked picture of him under her Christmas tree. And I was vindicated after that.
Extra set
of
marbles
on the Christmas tree. They still try to come after me for other stuff,
Yeah,
but
it kind of puts a whole new spin on Jingle Balls.
Long story short,
we gave him the shot. He took it, buddy. There was no clause for that. I was reading
right. Be ready for what's to come.
Well, yeah. But here's the thing. I'm an actual minority. I am by essence, because I'm a naturalized citizen, overseas military vet, combat vet. I'm of a different demographic. So everybody else is just another version or another colored version of that. They tend to use minorities here and use the color coding system like a fucking like fucking Sherman, what's his name, paints shop, right? So I'm going to use the system that's there. I'm going to identify as something else. I'm going to make them make me something. I've just recently changed all of my ethnicity. So they're going to have to figure out. So other is no longer good enough for me. I want them to quantify me. And they said, why? And I said, because of funding. Because you're getting funding for me. So I want to know what you're getting paid for. Because since you're pimping my ass out, I know what you identify as. So I'm starting a paper trail already of show me what I was, now show me what I am. Because if a man can become a woman by just uttering it, okay, I can be whatever the fuck I want. So I'm going to do that. Second thing is, unlike most of the creatures that I've seen in this area here, I'm educated to the point of where worldly wise and academic wise, and on top of that, I don't give a shit. So I have a freedom that these guys don't have. Nobody owns me. Okay.
Right.
So I'm going to do it same as Renee. So I'm going to do the same thing, but I got to find the right place. So I'm going to find somewhere small where I have a better chance of success. But no, it's always good to know what you're shooting at and then what's beyond, because what's beyond is what Renee's talking about. I fully expect that. What happened with you in politics would be opposition research, is what they'll call it, but that's freaking blackmail too. Just look what happens with it. Listen, right now, everyone around Kamala Harris might as well have been at a P. Diddy party, because all this shit's going to come out anyway, right?
Right.
But and I'm swearing a lot. I shouldn't be. Forgive me. Hang on. This is why I'm so sorry, Face.
Yeah.
The moment has passed. But no, I'm going to find somewhere where I can do something for someone who has not given the chance. And it's not, if I never win, I don't care. The fact I'm going to do it, put my knot, say, I did my bit.
Your name's going to be out, your name is going to be out there. Whether you win or not, they're going to know who you are.
Oh yeah, and they know what I am. They know what I am by the time they're finished.
They're going to know what principles they're going to know what principles you stand on.
Yeah. But
you know
the principles I stand upon, I tell you, you mentioned it last week. The rock I stand on is Plymouth Rock. That's what I'm standing on.
There you go.
Just
like at work last week. You know, they're intimidated by me there, and I understand that. I'm like you, education and experience wise. So I had one sergeant tell me, you can't carry, don't ever use your taser without my specific permission. So I decided not to carry it. Can't use it. Well, I had the extra, weight to my hips. So last week, the captain followed me out the door. He says, hey, you forgot something. I goes, no, I didn't. He goes, yeah, your taser. I was told not to use it, so I don't want to carry it. He goes, put it on. So I go back inside, carrying the taser that was handed to me outside. So I go up to the board, the whiteboard, I turn it on, I hit the arc button, I test it, hold it. I'm gonna call him, I'll call him Officer Nitwit. Looks at me, and I go, what the fuck are you looking at? And he doesn't say anything. So I walk out, get in the car, I take off. Sunday night, the lieutenant calls me and says, hey, I got to talk to you. I got an email. I go, yep. He goes, I can't tell you who sent it to me, but the person said that you flagged them with your taser. I goes, first of all, you don't have to tell me who sent the email. I know it was Officer fucking Nitwit because he was sitting there. I goes, secondly, I never flagged him. I never took the taser out. I goes, it was handed to me. And I goes, I only tested it. And I didn't say test, but it wasn't a big fucking deal. Not everybody says test. Anyway, he said, I'm going to send out an email in a generic form as a learning experience. He goes, so don't worry about anything. But I should have let it go there. But here's where my brain is not wired correctly.
Here it comes, Fog. Here it comes.
I thought about it and said, take the fucking high road and let it go. Until I get to work Thursday, I had a whole speech rehearsed. What do you think Officer Nitwit did? He fucking called in sick.
Called in sick.
Of course he did.
Didn't want to face me because he knew he was lying to me. So yesterday I go to work and Officer Nitwit is there. Now my blood's fucking boiling. I said, okay, try to calm down. And then I found myself for the first 3 hours treating other people like shit. Then I said, I just can't go on. So it's 11:15. Officer Nitwit is where the lieutenant sits. So I say, listen, I want to go home. I got an early day tomorrow. I goes, mind if I reach over you and put my taser away? I goes, without you getting into the fetal position, sucking your thumb and crying. And he fucking mumbled something. And I took that and I said, I'm taking that as a yes. So I put it in the closet and I shut the door. I went back and I sat at my desk and he started fucking typing on the keyboard again. So I'm fully expecting to get called in again on fucking Monday.
Well, you will. Yeah.
But
probably
that's the mentality of the people you're dealing with. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It really
Those-
is.
That's the
It really
same guy that's going to go out there and put his axe under Kamala Harris and Tampon Tim if he hasn't already done it. You know,
Right.
they can't
Well,
think for themselves.
Yeah. Speaking of false accusations, let's talk about Elon Musk. Apparently, is an illegal alien.
Oh,
So
yeah, that's
these
another
idiots
good
are
one.
talking about arresting him, like revoking all of his patents and so forth and so on.
The citizenship.
The citizenship and everything else. Well, fucking idiots. That lasted a whole, not even 24 hours before somebody said and came up with the documentation. No, it was a change of visa designation. He was here on a
Correct.
student visa. He was going to start working on his own company.
Adjustment of
his own
status.
company.
Adjustment of
He
status.
adjusted,
Whatever.
right? He adjusted his status and changed his visa, so everything is fine. But
Yeah.
all of the fucking panty twisting and hands thrown up in the air and hair pulling.
It's
and-
just planting
and
seeds of
he's-
doubt into people about that. Because if he had swung towards Democrats' side, this would never even rear its head.
That's
Bingo.
exactly right.
How many of Apple were not in the same position? How many of, you can name a company, you can name any company anywhere. Immigration law has changed. Immigration law, no, there is no immigration law. It's the free for all. So,
Kidding.
but I think we've just going back to the election, bring it back on point. I think we've left this too late.
Mhm.
I think we should have done more often, sooner, to get the public on side. We've been playing. We've people tend to manage the message when they manage the money. There's money all year round in both parties. This message should not be just kept and rolled out of the drawer on election time. It should be every single freaking day. We should be attacking the other side's points. If it's BS, it's BS. If it's not, if it's got some merit, say that, and we'll work together towards a solution.
And fix it exactly.
Who the hell we wait so long for election time to start doing this mudslinging BS? I hate it. I hate
Last
it.
time you had that type of civil cooperation amongst Democrats and Republicans was like John Kennedy, Bobby Kennedy, Tip O'Neill. Once those guys all died off, civility went out the window with the bathwater.
You mentioned Kennedy. You mentioned Kennedy.
Yeah.
He mentioned Kennedy last night in the speech. He said, "I'm going to get him in charge of all things environmental, but you don't touch the black gold in the ground, man. You're not touching that. Don't you be telling me, hey, Mr. President, you can't do that." He said, "I'm doing it because we need to, and we're going to." And right now, a guy taught me, his U.S. Navy. He taught me he's involved. He's gone over somewhere. They've just deployed B-52s to Southwest Asia right now, and he's on the naval end of it. The Air Force has gone ahead, obviously, to Japan and Guam and other places, but he's on a tub heading somewhere. And he said they're looking right now to try and find friendly places to buy fuel. I said, what? He said, we have no infrastructure to refuel. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, there's so much crap going on, and it's election time. No one wants to make a decision. That's not from the military personnel. That's from that funny shaped building in DC who are playing politics right now. They're hedging their bets until Wednesday morning, So that tells me if something kicks off, we may have the capability, but we don't have the fucking fuel to take off a carrier. That's scary. That's absolutely.
You think that's intentional?
I think it is. I mean, it's much the same thing. You're basically depriving the brain of oxygen. Same with the Israeli thing. By giving out the plans, you're giving them what's coming. Iran already knew. Iran has a plan already. Iran is this.
Iran's waiting to strike back big time.
They're going, and it's going to be a major strike the next time. They have to. They've only got one chance left.
That's why I'm hoping.
They're hoping to light the fire around Israel. Israel is doing something else. I'm not going off track, but the election is central to this here.
Right. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
The election is not necessarily as important to Israel as it should have been pre-October 7. And what I mean by that is this, and this is why. Because they knew on October 7, they knew by sundown October 7, there was no support from the White House. So they knew themselves they had effed up, and they had messed up and they had dropped the ball and stuff happened. One. Number two, there's no political will. Once you move that embassy from Aviv, from Yaffo, into Jerusalem, you also are putting in place. Imagine having Nancy Pelosi sitting at Trump's dinner table down in Mar-a-Lago, because that's the equivalent of U.S. Embassy personnel right now in Jerusalem.
Yeah.
They don't want to be there, but they have to be there. So they're there. So they're doing, okay, I'm at work now. Here we go.
Jeez.
And that's what they do. They do shit. So they've done nothing. But the personal contacts that senior military personnel and intel have had with senior personnel in the US side and the French have done a lot of good stuff in behind the scenes, I'm hearing, right? And the Brits, but the French particularly have navigated because of the history of Lebanon and Syria. They've done a lot of stuff. So stuff's going to come out. So the election, go back to the election. The election result doesn't matter on Wednesday morning to Israel. They're still going to defend themselves. They're not going to hold back. If Iran attacks Israel, Israel's going to fucking nuke these people. I'm telling you right now. And they're going to do it to war everybody else around. The 6-day war, I think, was bad. You ain't seen nothing. You ain't seen nothing. Because the capability now that's there within Israel, it's ready. It's that the amount of self-control Israel is putting on itself. It's unbelievable.
When the battle plans were leaked, the Harris-Biden administration warned Bibi not to take out any critical infrastructure, oil, nuclear. But Bibi kind of backdoored him. He took out the missile fueling factories, the factories that made the fuel. He actually took out the factories that made the missiles themselves. So they're figuring, intelligence is saying that, you know, these missiles have been strategically damaged to the point where they really don't have to
Mr. Fogg, if I can jump in. Chairman Fogg, can I jump in?
Yes.
I'm going to be
of course.
You can take the conversation, but this is the election thing. Intel services in Israel, in ISA, Shin Bet, talking to the US side of it and talking to DIA, Defense Intelligence Agency guys. I have a connection with. Those guys have been talking about it. As you said about backdoor stuff, that's it. Yeah. There's allegedly, I'm gonna put this on air right now, so we'll see if history will show it to be true or not. Going back to when you had the bunch of flyboys above in Black Ops above in Langley doing stuff. Those guys are hoping to stir up some trouble within the Iranian diaspora externally to fund stuff internally in Iran. So that's the reason why Israel stopped, because Israel has shown, if I can get your Hamas leader or your Hezbollah leader and he's sitting on a fucking toilet, I can get you if you fucking threaten me with your country. Number one. So I can make it personal to you, right? Number two, and it's the wrong thing to say, but for the right reason. Israel has already selected heads of state and heads of industries and ministries all around the Middle East as being potentially hostile to Israel. So that's why these guys are running. That's why Sinwar messed up with his own people, and they let him loose. And they gave him the minimum amount of money to get the fuck out of there, because you're drawing too much fire, because you're about to rain hell and hellfire and sidewinders on top of us. You're gone. You're gone. There's no support for you anymore here. There'll be a new one. Every new head came up, got taken off. Okay, that's what Israel is showing. Two, the election side of it. If the Democrats win, they will stall and badger and strangle the money and the funding that Israel needs. Israel has another source of funding that people are not identifying yet. Israel's source of funding is every synagogue around the world. And I'm telling you now, you have a direct link to Yahweh, you have a direct link to Aviv. Okay?
Yeah.
And I'm telling you right now, they've underestimated that, okay? Because people in desperate times do desperate things.
Yeah.
And while we're desperate for our survival, we're not to the point of where we have to rely upon any party to allow us to have existence. If you deny Israel the right to exist, you deny the right of Israel to assist you in future. Do you hear what I'm saying?
Yep.
If Israel wasn't there, how would the US have a stakeholder in the Middle East? What friendly governments are left there? What type of military infrastructure and interoperability will we have? So
Right.
here's what we're going at. When Bibi said, I'm not going to hit the infrastructure you said, he had that aspect in mind. The second aspect that I'm hearing from the ground is this. When Trump gets in, if Trump gets in, and I think only if Trump gets in, I don't expect Trump to win this. I hope to God I'm wrong. Please let me be wrong. I don't expect it to be what everyone expects it to be. The red tide and the Red Sea are connected. I'm telling you that right now. So here's where we're at. If Trump does not get in, Israel's battle plan is going to change dramatically within a few hours of that, because the gloves are off. Because Trump is going to drill, which is going to drive oil prices down, not just in the US, but worldwide.
Everywhere. Right.
Which means there's more oil available, more petroleum products available for military to operate right now. So when North Korea sent 4,000 troops, North Korea has been sending troops to fucking Russia for years, right? So the Pakistanis, Syrians, Syria is an experimental lab, an R&D lab for the fucking Russians, okay, in tactics and everything else. This is dangerous because the North Koreans, knowing the election and the whole uncertainty of it, has allowed North Korean troops to get combat experience.
Right.
Do you know what that fucking means?
Training.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's scary.
Exactly.
That's going to change the whole thing for the South China Sea, the Philippines, for Japan. It's also going to change it equally. Who has noted this and who has been silent on it is Zhao Ping. The Chinese guy has said, this ain't a good idea. Because now all of a sudden you have a crazy guy from, world police, right? right? Fucking, right? Not North Korea, with a nuclear weapon, with combat experienced troops.
Yep.
Those guys can run across that fucking DMZ quite quickly. So if Israel is not sure of support of U.S. administration politically and militarily, the same might apply to Taiwan and South Korea, because what are they going to do? The public here are being told, hey, foreign wars are a bad idea. There's nothing of any benefit for us being there. If we lose South Korea, if we lose Japan, if we lose the Philippines, we lose Subic, the sub-base in north of the Philippines. If we lose, all we got left down there, you've cut our support. All we have are the Aussies and the Kiwis. That's all we have down there. So there's a lot more going on with this election. This election is going to change politics globally, military strategy, deployment, resources, and here's the last one, currency, the dollar. This BRICS thing, we mentioned it last week. Everything is going to tie in, buddy. I'm telling you now, my intel side of it is, I'm off the wall. I'm probably wrong on most of it, but my gut feeling is that there's some shit going to string the shit together, and someone's going to have a little crochet where US is boxed off politically, globally, and internally. There's no fight in the belly.
Yep. And that's the purpose of it. All right, fellas, we're coming.
I heard a report the other day that Xi Jinping said, depending on what happens on the elections, he's up this time for taking over Taiwan to 2027.
Yeah. All right, we're coming up a little over our hour here, fellas. So I got one question that I'd kind of like to close out with concerning the elections. In your learned opinions, Rennie, we'll start with you. If Trump wins, what is the world going to look like on Wednesday morning? Are Democrats just going to roll over and accept it?
No, there's going to be complete, total utter chaos. I think there's going to be I think there's actually going to be a civil war. There's going to be fighting in the streets. Actually, Trump not only needs to win the White House, but the Republicans need to also take the House and the Senate, because they've already said that if the Democrats already said if they take the House and the Senate, they're going to impeach him on day one, which they will do. And Kamala Harris has already gone on record saying she ain't going to certify the election. So there's a lot at stake here. Not only Donald Trump's race, but the down ballots race. And
Right.
just, I want to end with this, and I won't say any more.
Yes. Okay.
All right, Nomad, what do you think, buddy?
I think it's going to be, it's down to the wire. I think I'm not confident that Trump will. I'm a Trump supporter. I'm not confident he will win. I think it's going to be stolen from him a second time in a different manner. I think that the public are tired of hearing about the same BS. No one was interested in Hillary's fucking laptop. Nobody's interested in the Russia collusion thing, which was proved to be wrong as well. So here's where we're at. The Trump-like figures around the world politically are also going to lose on Wednesday morning, because our support is going to be eroded from within. It's going to change the NATO alliance. It's going to change our global military posture. It's going to kill our reputation overseas, and it's about to kill our currency, which is going to kill our economy. I think we're on the road to ruin if we don't get this right on Tuesday.
Yep.
Okay, yep, I agree completely. We always close out with prepare to self-rescue, because no one else is coming to get you. I'm going to add, pray for peace, but prepare for war. I think things are going to get really ugly, no matter what happens, either
Yep.
way.
Yep.
All right, Rennie, go ahead and say our good nights, and I'll finish this up.
So, thank you. I love you, my brothers. Tuesday night, we got a special show for you. We'll be broadcasting live from a Trump party. So we'll be on the air live. We'll be interviewing people. They'll have their chances to take shots at us taking shots at them, in a friendly type of way. But it'll be a great show, I hope.
I hope so.
Nomad.
God bless America. God bless everybody. Regardless of your politics, you're still an American, and I respect that. But I would say to you, think this time around, don't vote like you did the last time. Vote what's good for your country is good for you. If you could take one house, one block at a time, you take back America. So take back each borough, each precinct back one at a time. Vote with your conscience, not with what your politics or your color of your skin.
Yep, you got it. All right. As Rennie said, please join us on Tuesday night for the election special. He's going to be doing the roving reporter thing and wandering around talking to a bunch of people. And I know, right?
Another strip club, Rennie. Come on, buddy. This is.
Yeah, I know. I'm hoping he's going to keep his clothes on and all
I don't
that
have
stuff.
clothes
But,
on.
you never know.
This explains this. This explains what he's been doing. Now
Exactly,
I get it.
yeah.
Buddy.
There, now you get. He's going to work on his
Robin
tan,
Hood
all that kind of
syndrome's
crap.
coming out.
Yeah, do some
Are you
weights.
the one
get a
that's
little
been
buff.
flying drones outside my window?
No, they weren't drones, buddy. Right? But anyway, here's the
Yeah.
thing. If I flew something outside your fucking window, right, it would involve a flashbang, right, and an S10 and an MP5 A3, and it's fucking over with it after that, right?
All right. So on that happy note,
Love and respect to both.
we're going to go ahead. We'll go ahead and close out here. It's been fun as always. As here at I12GIA, we attempt to these podcasts. We attempt to educate and entertain, and hopefully we're doing that. I'm pretty entertained. I'm pretty happy.
You're
Anyway.
very funny.
So yeah. So I want to thank our sponsors, I12GIA and Peace of Mind Training. You know what? Liberal, conservative, independent, Democrat, Republican. We're all Americans here. Start fucking acting like it and put a stop to this shit. All right, folks, we will see you next time. Go ahead and close out.
Take
Good night,
care.
y'all.
Good luck. Take care, buddy. Bye-bye.
Yep.